Hello students, welcome to Study IQ. In this session, we are going to discuss a question from Marx, that is class in itself and class for itself. Okay, so class in itself and class for itself, this is a short note, very important question. So if you see in the previous session, we have talked about dialectical materialism, and I've told you how you're going to write that particular answer. Dialectical materialism, step by step I've told you the three laws of dialectical materialism. I've told you, okay, so you need to write exactly the same way in that particular case. So if the short note is asked, the most important part of your question paper or your answer paper should be the short note, because maximum mark you can get from the short notes. Okay, so I would tell you, let's suppose, see your part A and part B. You can see here compulsory question 1, right? Then 2, 3, 4, 5 compulsory question, then 6, 7, 8. So the 5 questions that you're going to get from this, you should attempt first, and then go for this 5 questions, complete it first, and take the 10 markers from the 3 questions that you're taking. Attempt all the 10 markers first. Okay, that is what you can do, and that is what you should be doing. And the advantage is, the 10 markers, there is a possibility that you can score up to 7 to 8 mark, up to 80% mark you can score. It is very difficult to get 70 or above 60% in case of 20 marker. So even if you are writing very less, still if the content is there, you will get some mark in 20 marker. To break that saturation point, it is very difficult. So the simple strategy is, see, in college and all, you might have started, you might have done the reverse way. You used to attempt the bigger questions first, right? 20 markers first you'll attempt, and then you go to the 10 marker. But that you should not do here. You have to make sure that you completed all the 10 markers first. That's the best strategy in case of optional subject, not only in sociology, for that matter any optional subject. That's the best strategy, because 10 markers are going to fetch you a lot of mark, and you just need to write only very less content. So you don't have any confusion over there. You have enough content also over there available. So you can write very beautiful answers. So take all the 10 markers. So you will have around this 5 10 markers here, 5 10 markers here, and from this 3 you will get 3 10 markers, right? So this if you see second question will be 120 marker, then 10, then 20 marker, then 10 marker mostly. So 3 more 10 markers will be there. So total 130 marks will be coming from 10 markers, and 120 marks, rest of the marks will be from 20 markers. So the time that you can devote is actually exactly if it is 180 minutes totally, even if you are spending 100 minutes, okay, 100 minutes for this, it is well and good. The reason is, out of this 130 you can make up to 80% of the mark, but the maximum, there is no limit. You can go up to 80%. 70 to 80% is guaranteed. That means, if you see, you can go from 91 to 99. That much mark you can actually score in the 10 markers. But in this 20 marker, maximum you can score is 60, 70, and if exceptionally good, then only you will get 70%. But if it is, and that exceptionally good answers you can actually write in 10 markers, because you need very less content only. And with the knowledge that you have, if you have attended my classes, you might have understood what to write and what not to write. Objectively, how can you answer each questions? I have told you, each and every thinker, when we discussed, I have told you what to write, what not to write. If it is historical materialism, how to proceed. If it is critically analyzed, how to proceed. How you proceed with the word discuss, comment, critically analyze. All these we have discussed in various discussions, various sessions. Okay, so you know what to do, and exactly the same is what you're actually going to do in case of 10 markers. So I request you try once. When you take the test series, at least you can try, and you can implement it in your actual paper. I have tried it, and I was sociology topper twice. Okay, in 2012 and 13 I was topper, and in 14 actually I missed 2-3 questions by mistake, and I had actually still I was able to score around 270 plus. Okay, so I'm saying it is very easy to score 300 plus, provided you should be getting good marks in the 10 markers. 10 markers are the key. Okay, so I got 300 plus 2 times, because I'm always attempting the 10 markers first, and I'm sure that in 10 markers I'm able to get the best mark, up to 7 to 8%, 70 to 80% you can get over there. So I'll tell you what to write this, so class in itself and class for itself, just like what we have discussed in case of dialectical materialism. So see here, this 120 mark maximum what you get maybe 60 mark. Okay, but see the possibility here in this 130, there is a possibility that 70% means 91 mark, or 80% if you go for that is very good mark, right? So you can even score 91 to 104, this range, that means 70 to 80% of these 10 markers. But here 60 to, you know, maximum what you can get is this is 60% means this is 50%, 60% means 72, and then 70% means 84. So this is the range that you can maximum go, 60 to 70 if you are very good. Okay, so you choose the answers accordingly and you make your strategy accordingly. So I would say when you're writing the test series, at least you try with this. Whatever test series with whom you are joining, it doesn't matter. You try this once, and this is a strategy that I am telling to my students, and they have implemented and they have realized how they changed from the first test to the last test. Okay, so this is a simple strategy. Just try it once and then you will be convinced, because you will be getting more marks if you attempt the 10 markers first. Okay, so but the fact is that obviously you should never miss any 20 marker. You should manage the time properly. I am saying it clearly, you have to attempt all the questions, but even if you are spending, you know, 100 minutes for this, it is worth, and you can spend rest of the 80 minutes for this, because for the 80 minutes you will be getting the 72 to 84 marks. It is well and good. Okay, so this 72 here, the minimum that I am expecting, minimum 72, and this 91 here, that will lead to 163 mark in paper 1. That is considered so good. 163 here and maybe 150 or 160 in the second paper. That is actually super marked, right? So this should be your strategy. Okay, so I've taken the minimum marks and I've told you this 160 probability, right? It can be 104 this also, and it can go this way also. Then in that case you will get 188 mark. Okay, so for that you need to be exceptionally good. So here also you are scoring 80% for all the questions, and here also you are scoring 70% for all the questions. For that you need to be exceptionally good with the concepts and the way you write also. With the concepts, I'm sure that you will be good once you attend my classes, and you have already understood from Marx and Durkheim already. Whatever thinkers, whatever videos so far uploaded, you might have already understood what we can do and how we differently done from others. Okay, so those who have attended some other classes, you might have already realized. Those who are attending this for the first time, you might have realized that sociology is so simple. So thinkers, we have done beautifully, exactly in the same way we have completed Weber, Parson, Merton, Mead also. Okay, and that concept wise and content wise, knowledge wise, you will not face any problem. Only problem you may face is writing, and that too you will solve when you're writing the test series. So there is no need to have any problem with respect to sociology. So I hope the things are made clear. Let's go to the question. Question is class in itself and class for itself. So there's a 10 marker. Now I'm going to tell you how you're going to proceed with this question. Class in itself and class for itself. So what you will do is, first you will explain what is class. So I'm not going for the complete pure theoretical explanation here. So you just tell what is class. What according to Marx is class. Here this concept is given by Marx. So first you need to tell class in itself, class for itself. This is the concept which is given by Marx in his theory of class and class struggle. Okay, then you can define class. What is class? Okay, then you can say class is the person's position in the production process. Just as a man cannot choose who is to be his father, he have no choice with respect to his class. He is born in classes, and when you're born in class. Whose class? Your father's class. If your father is rich, you belong to upper class. If your father is poor, you belong to the lower class, and based on that you will get access to education and privileges, prestiges, everything you will get accordingly. So men are born in classes. Okay, you cannot choose your class, at least at the time when you're born, just like you cannot choose who is to be a father. But later in the open system, you can get mobility and you can move to the top, you can come down. Marx is also not denying that possibility. Marx is talking about that also. Okay, so he is talking about the person's position in the production process as class. So class is defined as person's position in the production process. Everything he understand and connect with the production process. The process of production is considered superior for him, and economic infrastructure is considered superior. Okay, so you will define class, and see Marx talking about class everywhere, but he's closely define it, and this is the best definition that you can write. Okay, and then you will talk about different types of class that Marx talking about. The types of class are haves, have nots. So broadly he is talking about haves and have nots, and you can give example for this. You can talk about ancient mode of production, which you already know, I'm not getting into that, and you can tell who are the haves and have nots. You can talk about feudal mode of production, and you can say who are the haves and have not, like serfs and feudal lords, masters and slaves. And then you can also talk about capitalist mode of production, and then you can say who are the haves and have nots. The capitalists are the haves and the slaves are the have nots, or the bourgeois proletariat. Okay, you can stress more on capitalist system also. Okay, so in fact Marx also gave more emphasis and stress on capitalist setup, so you can talk about that. So you have explained what is class, you define what is class, you define types of class, haves and have nots broadly, but you also need to make a point that Marx is not denying the possibility of intermediate classes. For example, Marx is talking about certain classes like petty bourgeois, lumpen proletariat, etc. So Marx is also making references to petty bourgeois and lumpen proletariat. Petty bourgeois means the marginal traders, small capitalists, not the big capitalists. Okay, the small traders, etc., small business people, they are the petty bourgeois. Lumpen proletariat include the poorest of the poor. So Marx is also talking about some other class apart from this. Like this, Marxian concept of class structure is like this. Haves will be always few in number, so this is the group of haves, and have nots are maximum, so this is a group of have nots. So the minority is ruling the majority. And then Marx is talking about this intermediate class also. There can be some intermediate class, but it is not permanent. What will happen is, with time, this intermediate class will be polarized into any of these two, haves or have nots, through two processes, that is bourgeoisization and proletarianization. So this process is known as bourgeoisization, and this process is known as proletarianization. Okay, so through these two processes, the intermediate class will be polarized into any of the two, and the entire process is what Marx refers as class polarization. Now see, this can also be asked as a question, class polarization. So again, you need to write the same content, you need to tell what is class, you need to make the definition of class, and you need to tell what all things I have told you, and you need to talk about the classification of class and different modes of production you can explain. And in capitalism, Marx gave the concept of class polarization, and you need to explain what is bourgeoisization, what is proletarianization. We have already done this in detail. If you go to the theory of class and class struggle, I have shown you this in detail, how the process is happening, everything we have discussed. If you missed out that video, and if you are watching my video for the first time, what you can do is, all these videos are available. This is my Telegram channel, or you can get in touch with me. This is my Instagram ID, Zia Safir. My name is Safir. So this is my Instagram ID, Zia Safir. So this is my Telegram channel. You can join the Telegram channel. Almost all videos up till Durkheim is available in the Telegram channel. I have done only up till Durkheim, and then I have started the new series of solving questions, because we can't do the complete videos, right? So up till Durkheim it is available, and later we will think of uploading some other videos also. All the questions we will do, and the question papers discussions also we will be doing, and immediately I will be starting with the paper 2 also. So I will discuss the important thinkers in paper 2 like Gurye, Srinivas, okay, A.R. Desai, we will cover that, okay. And then few social movements, the chapter of caste, the chapter of tribes. This is what I am planning to cover in YouTube. So I may take some more time, and we will do those areas also, paper 2. So this is the Telegram channel, or this is my Facebook ID also. So you can get in touch with me in any of this. So this Facebook ID, or this is my Instagram channel, or if you wish to attend my regular classes or live classes, online classes, anyway it is available with Study IQ. So you can get in touch with me. This is my number, 9790-892-697, or you can also get in touch with me, 98955-77775. So if you need to write a test series, or if you need to have an answer writing session programs, you can join me, okay. So this is my contact details. You can get in touch with me in any of this. You can WhatsApp or Telegram or Instagram, whatever way you want, you can do it, okay. So we were talking about the class polarization, so I'm not getting into the details of it. So briefly you have to mention about class polarization here. Okay, now we have discussed about class, we have defined class, we have defined type of class, we have discussed about intermediate class, and we have also talked about class polarization. So these are objective criteria according to Marx. So class in itself is nothing but the definition of class itself. So what Marx said, class is person's position in the production process. That means it is an objective criteria. You are where you are standing in the production process. Are you a manager? Are you a clerk? Are you an IAS officer? Or are you an SP, superintendent of police? Are you a DGP or a assistant collector or a chief secretary? Okay, so your position in the production process define your class. So we have defined class based on an objective criteria. So this is a point that you need to take, because many students have a lot of confusion here. It is based on an objective criteria. What exactly is the definition of class? That is what you mean by class in itself. So you belong to a particular class, that's what class in itself. But this class develops some consciousness. That means a subjective criteria. This class develops some consciousness of exploitation, or more number of working hours, less salary. So, and they are working for themselves. So they form a group. That is what class 4 itself. Now their class will start working for the class. See, when we talk about class in itself, it is objective criteria, it is just the definition of class. And when we talk about class 4 itself, the class develops some consciousness and they start working for the class, and that became class 4 itself. They start working for the benefit of the class, that they start working for the collective benefit of the class, not for individual benefit. And they will not be understood just as, that will not be understood just as class. That's what class 4 itself according to Marx. So class in itself to class 4 itself, what is the difference? There is a difference, that is consciousness. When the members of the particular class create or develop the consciousness of belonging to the class, and then they start working for the class, that become class 4 itself. Okay, now here you can talk about true consciousness and false consciousness. See, many students, if you see my answer discussions videos, the test series discussion, live discussion that I was doing, I have uploaded that videos also. You can see few students are writing it like this. I've only uploaded few videos, but many students are understanding like this. In fact, many teachers are also taught like this, that class in itself is false consciousness, class 4 itself is true consciousness. No, when we talk about class in itself, it is objective criteria. There is no concept or idea of consciousness there. When we talk about class 4 itself, there is an idea of consciousness. It can be true and false. So within class 4 itself, what I'm saying is this, you need to understand. Many students having this confusion, class in itself is false consciousness, class 4 itself is true consciousness. No, within class 4 itself, it can be true and false. Class in itself do not have consciousness. That is an objective criteria. So class 4 itself is subjective criteria. What is that subjective criteria? It is a consciousness. What is that consciousness? The members of the class develop some togetherness, belongingness to the class, etc. And they, like workers of the world, unite. That is an example for class 4 itself. I hope you understood. Okay, so class 4 itself is based on subjective criteria, and this consciousness can be true consciousness or false consciousness. This discussion we have in detail we have done, and you don't want to write what is true consciousness, what is false consciousness. You can say it can be based on true consciousness, and you can give example. For example, if you see ancient mode of production, when the exploitation reaches at its peak and the mature condition exists, the slaves revolt. But the slaves revolt is actually aided by a supporting class who is from the masters only. They were the agents of settled agriculture. And I've told you, slaves, even though they revolt, they eventually satisfying the interest of those few masters. Okay, so I've told you, even though they revolt and they enter into the new mode of production, they eventually satisfy the interest of few. So it was based on false consciousness, as they cannot change their situation. There was a consciousness, there was a class for itself, but they were not able to change their situation, and the exploitation continued. So it was based on false consciousness. And similarly, I've told you, when we talked about feudal mode of production, so the lords and serfs, there is a revolt. The serfs revolt against the lords and they move towards factories, but there is an emerging section from the lords who aided and supported this revolt because they need free labor. But in feudalism, people are tied in land, right? So eventually they are satisfying the serfs. Even though they are revolting against the lords, they are eventually satisfying the few people who are from the feudal lords and the agents of factory system. They became the capitalist. So this is also based on false consciousness. So the revolt in ancient mode of production and feudal mode of production based on false consciousness, despite the fact that class 4 itself is there. So can we say class 4 itself is based on true consciousness? No. Class 4 itself is based on consciousness. It can be true, it can be false. It is a subjective criteria. But when it comes to capitalism, there is no new alternate mode of productions are emerging. So here workers revolt, and the revolution is there when the mature condition exists. There is an appropriate system of ideology, there is an appropriate leadership, okay, proper organization, proper networking of the leaders and the workers, that lead to change in the overall situation, and the workers' life have changed. They capture everything, and then they enter into socialism, which is where the workers will control everything. So this, according to Marx, is based on true consciousness. So in all these situations, when they are working, it is class for itself. For example, the organizations that lead to strike, okay, this is all these organizations, doctors organization or teachers association, police association, all these are class for itself. Okay, so if you define the class in itself means they are the teachers, that is a class. But teachers association, that is class for itself. They work for the class. It can be true consciousness, it can be false consciousness. For example, when there are some issues which is happening during flood in Kerala, okay, for example, during flood in Kerala, teachers were asked to donate some salary, but they were not ready to do that. Okay, so that is an example of they unite together and they burn the order and they challenge it in the High Court. So this is an example of class 4 itself. But is that true consciousness? It depends. Okay, again you need to say, in case of ancient mode of production, it is false consciousness. Feudal mode of production, false consciousness. Capitalism, true consciousness. Similarly, here also we may put it as false consciousness, or some teachers may put it as false consciousness, because you could have helped the society, because the government is going to use this half month salary for the society, and this they are not deducting this half month salary, just deferring it for a future date. So, and when you are going against that in the High Court and burning all these things, you are doing it for your class, but that is not necessarily a true consciousness. So within class for itself, it is all about subjective criteria. It can be true consciousness as well as false consciousness. So that concept that you might have understood, so many people, I tell you, I bet you 90% of the people will understand it in the wrong way. And that's the reason why, even though sociology is easy, you complete the syllabus. I've seen many people who completed coaching from the highest centers, the better coaching centers, the so-called better centers, and the so-called better teachers are writing the test series with me, and I can see the concepts that they are writing. It is pathetic, okay? And even after writing 2-3 mains, they are writing the test series with me. Then I can understand why they are scoring 210, 220, etc. Despite the fact that they are clearing prelims. And you know, once you clear prelims, then if you're not clearing mains, it's almost like it's a big thing. It is a very difficult thing. So clearing prelims is most difficult. Once you pass that, and if you cannot clear mains, that is going to be a disaster for you, because you don't know next time whether you clear prelims or not. Okay, so that's about the session. I hope you understood how to write this answer. If you want, you can talk about criticism also of class in itself and class for itself. That criticism will draw from the true consciousness and false consciousness itself. And we have discussed about the criticism in our previous lecture. In the critical analysis, you can just type Marx critical analysis, okay, by Zia Safir. You can see that video, or Study IQ. You can see that video. It is available in Study IQ. We have done critical analysis beautifully. We have critically analyzed each and every theory of Marx. Each and every point Marx talking, we have critically analyzed. So you won't face any problem in any of the critical analysis of the Marx. So if you wish, you can attempt this question. It is not the consciousness of a man that determines his social existence. On the other hand, it is a social existence that determines his consciousness. Discuss. You can try attempting this question, and you can post it in the comment, or you can message me, or you can telegram me, you can post on Instagram. This is a question. It is not the consciousness of man that determines his social existence. On the contrary, his social existence determines his consciousness. Critically analyze. So you may be able to understand from which theory this is asked directly by seeing this. It is from alienation. So now you can try attempting this question. If you have any doubt, you can get in touch with me. I've already told you, this is my Instagram ID. Okay, these are my contact numbers.